So with respect to, these deaths in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan of children from the consumption of cough syrup, specifically speaking of cold drift cough syrup, which has now been banned by the center and the states as well, around 14 deaths have been linked to this particular consumption of the cough syrup. We're being joined by Dr. YK Gupta currently to, talk to us further ahead about these deaths, about the contamination, about the formula of this cough syrup as well. Dr. YK Gupta is currently the National Scientific Advisor to Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and he has also been the Head of Pharmacology at AIIMS Delhi. Thank you for joining us at NDTV, Dr. Gupta.
Namaskar.
So first off, center has found traces of DEG and EG, that is diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, in the cold drift cough syrup batch at the manufacturing unit in Kanchipuram. What is DEG and EG?
See, most of the cough syrup, they use some solvents so that the ingredients like dextromethorphan or other products, API, gets dissolved uniformly. And this is propylene glycol, which is inert, non-toxic. However, unfortunately, because of the callous attitude or because of, I would say, the negligence or inadequate quality control, this gets mixed up with another similar, colorless, same odorless, same type of material, which is diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol or diethylene glycol, they are nearly same looking, everything, but absolutely different as far as the safety is concerned. Diethylene glycol is very toxic. It is toxic to kidney. It is most toxic to kidney. It is also toxic to liver. It is also toxic to nerves. And it is also toxic to GIT. We do not know what is the exact lethal quantity of this, but even a small quantity of diethylene glycol can cause serious implications in particularly in children. Children less than 2 years or children 5 years lesser, they are more susceptible to toxic effects. And therefore, if by any mistake, I would call them as a criminal negligence, if this gets mixed up in any of the cough syrup, this is used usually in cough syrup and also in paracetamol preparations, and which are many times, incidentally and unfortunately, in India, people use as an OTC product without prescription, without doctor's advice. They use it, but it does
Right.
not mean
Right.
that it should contain. It should be allowed to contain that. So that is what the ethylene glycol and diethylene glycol is. Longer the exposure, more irreversible is the damage in the
Impact.
kidney which happens.
Right. Doctor, also speaking about quantities, what sort of, what is the safe permissible limit in any sort of medication of DEG and EG?
I would say the ideally there should not be any quantity of DEG or EG should be present in the cough syrup. However, some people have said that 0.01, some people have said that 0.1, but I will not go with these values. But simple presence of DEG and EG is hazardous.
Right, right.
Because that's why the children are more uh,
In a
vulnerable.
in a factory setup where these medicines are made, how is it possible, this sort of mixing up happening?
I would say this can happen only when the GMP or the good manufacturing process steps are not followed. Otherwise, it must not happen. It can happen because once you get the propylene glycol and you do not keep the inventory chain, blockchain system, you have no checks and balances if on
Right,
the is coming, is this the industrial solvent, this is EG, because diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol are commonly used for paint industry, for solvent industry, and it is used for brake oil, and these are much, much cheaper. So
Right.
people sometimes intentionally, because of economic offense, they mix it, which is absolutely murderous, criminal.
So you're saying that for economic concerns, this mixing might happen intentionally.
May happen because
Right.
they may not be knowing the serious complication
Hmm,
of
hmm,
what
hmm,
can happen in it. Ignorantly, they think that this is cheaper, and
hmm.
that is why what is the blockchain technology is that you keep everywhere documentation checking when anything which comes to your premises, you check it. When the final batch is released, then you also check it. Different batches are released, then you check it, and then
Right.
it is declared that it is free.
Hmm.
And that is why the contamination can happen. A, the source of a so-called ethylene propylene glycol, it might got mixed up. It is inadvertent, but it is not accidental. It is a mismanagement. And C, unfortunately, if this happens, that it is intentionally added, is a criminal, large.
Right. Doctor, also, the batches that have been sampled and analyzed by the Central Drug Regulator, CDSCO, from Madhya Pradesh, as well as the Madhya Pradesh government, those batches or those samples have not been found with any DEG or EG. But the batches or samples that were analyzed from Tamil Nadu, Kanchipuram manufacturing unit have been found with the contamination. So, other than DEG or EG contamination, could there be any other possible factors that may be causing these deaths?
I would say one thing, that if the contamination has been of EG and DEG has been found in one particular company or one particular state or one particular area, it does not mean that all cough syrups have DEG, EG, right? That is one. But it warrants great caution that till you are very clear about that this has been tested, I would recommend that don't use it unless your doctor advises so and from authentic source. That's the one thing. Now, your question is that if it is not found on those, I would say that repeat sampling will be done in these cases. And if it is also not found, then one must look for what in pharmacovigilance we call it as a causality assessment. And
Right.
this causality assessment is a science that means you identify what are the situation where this was given,
Hmm.
what is the condition, and what is the temporal relationship, that means when the drug was given and the symptoms started appearing. You also look for what is the symptomatology, that if DEG, we know that there is a nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, and then there is a decrease in urination, then there is a stoppage of urination, the liver enzymes goes high.
Right.
These are the corroborative symptoms of DEG. Then suspicion needle goes
Hmm.
to DGEG. If there is nothing, then we look for could it be extra high dose of dextromethorphan, or could it be because of some any other infection unconcurrent.
Hmm.
There is also kidney injury or kidney disease of unknown
Right.
origin. That is an entity. We do not know why there is sudden outburst of kidney disease. So that becomes the matter of detailed investigation.
Right.
But then the looking at the Hotham's razor, Occam's razor, that means if there is a suspicion of A and still suspicion, not proved, but in that case also taking abundance precaution, you stop using that precaution, that medication for as long as it is not proved guilty.
Right. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Gupta. Thank you for all of these views. As Dr. Gupta says that the use of DG, DG or the possible contamination is a criminal negligence, and even if it's not found in these particular batches or samples, there should be repeat sampling. Thank you for joining us.
And the general advisory which the secretary has issued, that avoid using cough syrup unless this is must. Don't use it lesser than 2 years of age, used with great caution with doctor's advice up to 5 years of age. And I think our regulator is very prompt. CDSU is very prompt to take very, very positive steps for preventing that such things do not happen again.